for everyone who's attended so far. We'll just wait a few more moments to allow the rest of the registered attendees arrive. So we'll get underway very shortly. So yeah, please sit back, take it easy, and we'll soon be underway. Okay, well, it looks like we've got all the registered attendees in the session. So we'll start the 2021 QUT Graduate Research Showcase. So welcome everybody to the event, which encompasses the grand finals of the 3-minute thesis and the Visualise Your Thesis competitions. A great big welcome to our distinguished guests, including the Deputy Vice Chancellor and Vice President of Research, Christopher Barner-Kolwick, and to our distinguished judging panel, and I'll introduce you to them shortly, and also to our outstanding finalists who will be presenting their work a little bit later on. Also, welcome to our valued industry partners, to QUT alumni, and to our community of QUT staff and students. So we're thrilled that you've been able to take the time to attend this celebration of graduate research at QUT. This showcase this year is extra special as this year we are also celebrating the 30th anniversary of QUT's first PhD graduate. And we're delighted to be joined by Dr. Nancy Spencer, who had that honour. Since Nancy graduated with the first QUT PhD, QUT has since had more than 3,500 graduates, which is an impressive number. But just to indicate the growth that we've had at QUT with our PhD program, we've currently got enrolled today approximately 2,000 PhD students. So we've graduated 3,500, but we've got 2,000 that will soon join that rank. So that's a pretty impressive achievement. Now, just to introduce myself, my name's Esa Yartinen. I'm the Director of the Graduate Research and Education Development team, who are responsible for putting this event together. And it's my great pleasure to be here and act as MC of the event today. But before we get into the formalities and the festivities, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners. The Queensland University of Technology acknowledges the Turrbal and Yurruga as the First Nations owner of the lands where QUT now stands. We pay respect to their elders, laws, customs, and creation spirits. We recognise that these lands have always been places of teaching, research, and learning. QUT acknowledges the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people play within the QUT community. Okay, so moving to a description of what lay ahead, the 3-minute thesis, or 3MT as we call it, and the Visualise Your Thesis, and again we like acronyms, so VYT, are research communication competitions designed to assist graduate research to communicate what their research is about. And by communicate, I mean to a broad array of different types of audiences, as opposed to peers and experts. And irrespective of whether a graduate student will go into work in academia or industry, this skill is essential because you will always be pitching your work, trying to attract funding, trying to inspire people to buy into your idea. So it's applicable, the skill is applicable across the board. Research communication is therefore an essential skill for all graduates to have. And we'll be hearing later from the finalists about how the 3MT and VYT competitions help them with that development of that skill. Now, with that said, it's not an innate skill that we are born with. None of us are able to succinctly encapsulate a PhD work in a 3-minute oration that is accessible and understandable by the broader community. This is something that needs to be developed. And this is where the Graduate Research Education and Development team come into the picture, because we provide a whole range of supports and resources and learning that allow students to gain this skill and others, which will help them with their research and their future careers. Okay, now prior to getting into the actual events, it's my great pleasure to welcome and introduce the Deputy Vice Chancellor and Vice President of Research, Professor Christopher Barner-Kolowick, who will discuss the strengths and talents of QUT graduate research students. So I invite Christopher to unmute, turn on his camera, and provide us with some insights.
Thank you very, very much, Essa, for these kind words and the introduction to today's event. Thank you to your team for putting this amazing event on, celebrating and honoring our PhD cohort, past and present, and hopefully those who will come undoubtedly well into the future. Thank you to all the participants for whether you're presenting or not today, for being here and celebrating with us QUT's HDR students, PhD students, and all that they've contributed and continue to contribute to academic life at QUT. 30 years of PhD research at QUT is an amazing milestone for us as a university, as a young university, and we are immensely proud of our 3,500 graduates and the over 2,000 currently enrolled PhD students. I think it's fair to say that PhD students are at the core of what we do in research at QUT, and I guess that's true for many other universities as well. The PhD students are the engine room of our research, together with, of course, postdoctoral fellows, which is often a stage that follows after a PhD has been completed. And a qualification as a PhD student opens boundless opportunities for you as individuals to make your mark in an ever-changing and complex world. I'm an active PhD supervisor myself, and just before that event, I had a look and I counted how many graduates stemmed from my supervision and laboratory, and it was, at the latest count, it was 82. And I looked through their journeys from the very start that they had through the opportunities they took up later in life. And it became very, very clear that their passion and excitement for their research project translated on to their future career pathways. And these future career pathways were very, very diverse. They were not only in the field of chemistry and the natural sciences, which they did their PhD in, but they branched out into many, many other fields, into consulting, for example, into firefighting even, into environmental protection, into patent law, into the insurance business and even banking business. And some of them even became medical doctors afterwards in a further degree. So there's an amazing width and breadth of how these students applied the knowledge they gained during their PhD tenure. Another observation that I've made, not only with my own cohort, but with the entire QUT cohort, how internationally mobile and active our PhD students are. In many cases, a PhD journey entails a stay in a laboratory or an environment in a different country or with an industrial partner. And the mobility that's been shown and the experiences gained are just phenomenal. And it is with this passion and energy that our PhD cohort brings to QUT that we ran this event today. That said, at the same time, we have a specific aim of what we would like our PhD students to be and our PhD graduates to be, and what attributes we want to equip with them in an ever more complex and changing world. And this is where Essa's work and the work of his team make a great impact, is to equip our PhD cohort and you with the skills that you need besides your subject-specific skills to succeed. whether that be in writing great research papers or gaining additional skills that will help you during your PhD journey. And I guess one of the biggest skills we can endow our PhD students with in today's world is resilience. Resilience and confidence in the face of adversity. We've seen with the pandemic that unprecedented events can take time, can take place at any time. And I think this is something we have to be prepared for, whether that be on a global scale, on a national scale, or in our personal lives. So the journey towards resilience and the spirit of not giving up in difficult situations is one that we want to empower our PhD students with. Thank you again for everybody who's here, everybody who's made contributions to the PhD program at QUT. We're very proud of all of you and your individual journeys. And us and our team, Essa and our team, we're there to help you around that journey and make it the biggest possible success that it can be. A big thank you, of course, also to all the supervisors and supervisory teams out there who make enormous contributions in making each PhD journey bespoke and tailored to the needs and abilities of each student. So with this, I hand over back to Essa as the MC of this event, and I thank you again very, very much for your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher, for giving some insight into the benefits of graduate research and where you can ultimately end up in terms of career. Next, I'd like to introduce to you our distinguished judging panel, which we were very fortunate to attract such high quality individuals to be involved in this program because they sincerely believed it was an important venture to take part of. I'll begin with the panel chair, Professor Marek Kowalewicz. Marek is a professor at QUT Business School and the founding director of QUT's Research Centre for the Digital Economy. He joined QUT from Silicon Valley, where he led global innovations teams as a senior director at SAP. Before Silicon Valley, Marek worked at Singapore as a research manager of the largest SAP research lab in Asia. Prior to that, Marek was a global research program lead of one of SAP's main research programs, as well as research fellow at Microsoft Research Asia. He holds 15 patents describing his contributions to enterprise software systems. Our next judge is Liz Minchin, editor-in-chief of The Conversation, is a Walkley Award-winning journalist and author, with 2 decades of experience in newspapers, radio, and online. She was a reporter and news editor at The Age newspaper for a decade before working as a media trainer and then a producer at the ABC. She has strong interest and passions in science as well. In 2010, Liz worked with scientists to publish Screw Light Bulbs, which is a plain English guide to how Australia could get serious about tackling climate change. She joined The Conversation in 2012 and regularly delivers pitching and writing masterclasses for research across Australia and New Zealand. So very suited to what we're about to embark on. Our third judge is Sally Anna Hamilton, and she has more than 15 years experience in the arts industry. She is currently Manager, Office of the CEO, responsible for governance, policy, reporting, strategic and operational planning for the Queensland Museum Network. Previously, she was part of the team to secure the Asia Pacific license for the World Science Festival and develop the event from first principles. She secured $30 million in support of museum projects from industry, academia, and the government, including the National Carriage Factory Capital Campaign, which raised $1.8 million from community to redevelop Toowoomba's iconic Cobb & Co Museum. Prior to joining Queensland's Museum Network, Sally worked in accounting and finance. Our fourth judge is Professor Mark Harvey, who is the Vice President of Business Development at QUT, a position he commenced in March of 2019. Prior to this, he was the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovation at the University of Southern Queensland. In his role at QUT, he leads QUT's business development, which oversees the development and management of strategic partnerships with external individuals, organisations in pursuit of QUT corporate objectives and priorities. The portfolio's offices include the Advancement Office, Alumni, Venues and Events, and Industry Engagement. So a strong industry focus there. And lastly, but not finally, I will describe Dr. Nancy Spencer, who is the executive in residence at Griffith University. Nancy is an experienced executive with demonstrated leadership in governance and in evidence-led policy development and implementation. As a relational leader with extensive experience working with governments, industries, and non-government organisations, she has experience and expertise in diverse content areas, expectations, policies, and data and systems. Nancy is an active board member for a number of organisations and exhibits the political savvy and emotional intelligence needed to build high-performance teams, cross-sector agency relationships to the delivery of complex, multidimensional problems and high-profile projects. Now, with the 3MT in mind, Nancy also brings a great deal of experience to this idea of us communicating with a range of audiences. Nancy has experience dealing with and presenting to ministers and CEOs of organisations as well as to the public. Most recent topics of discussion and research have included disability services, young carers, disaster management and resilience, energy system resilience, risk management, social cohesion and community capacity, matching data records and longitudinal analysis, model building and evaluating place-based initiatives that has resulted in a range of significant policy and practice changes to benefit Queenslanders. So a pretty impressive list of areas which you can describe and articulate to a broad cross-section of the community. Okay, so now it's with great pleasure that we move on to celebrating QUT's first PhD graduate, who is Dr. Nancy Spencer. And we're delighted to have Nancy on our judging panel to help us determine the winners of those two contests. Now, in celebration of the 30th anniversary of QUT's first PhD graduate, we were fortunate enough at GRED to have the opportunity to interview Nancy about her PhD journey and how Nancy's PhD has impacted on her career development. And right now, we'd love to show you this video. So please, let's press the play button.
So I did my Bachelor of Maths here at Gardens Point. I actually did my first year of electrical engineering, but I found that was just too hard to do part-time. So I swapped over to maths, which was my love anyway, and I arrived at the School of Maths and they just welcomed me with open arms. And so I did my degree in maths here at Gardens Point, and then won the university medal, and then went on and did my PhD here. The skills that the PhD gave me, I suppose, there's divided into two. Sort of above the green line, there's all the technical skills about statistics and computing skills, client management and project management. Below the lines is that it told me that you can persevere, you can self-manage tasks, really large tasks, over 3 years, get them completed. It gave me the confidence to be able to say and present that confidence when you're presenting a problem and say, I have the evidence, I can see a solution, these are the options, and these are the impacts if you choose those options. I think there's a lot more support, it's a lot more structured for PhD students now. I think having the confirmation year and then having a confirmation just so that you can test out whether it's doable and get some early input. And then I think there's a range now of ways that you can complete your PhD, which better suit the person doing the PhD and their topic. So I think, and there's a lot more supports following your PhD about getting you into early career researcher grants, linking you into ARC linkage grants, research centres, etc. It would be more in the policy, governance, business arrangements part, because that's where I spend my spare time, is helping little non-government organisations, not-for-profits, deliver services effectively, set up their strategy, set up their performance measures so they know whether they're doing it properly, set up their data systems so that they can know what services they're delivering to clients, and then also feeding that into the financial side of it. So it's still all data, still all doing stats, but applying it to the non-for-profit sector.
Thank you, Nancy, for some great insights into the changes that have happened over the last 30 years since you graduated. It's great to hear that there's greater flexibility, more structure in place to help students, and greater support range. So that's excellent. Okay, so now it's time to have a look at our first competition of the day at this event, and that's the 3MT competition. The 3 Minute Thesis is a research communications competitions where higher degree research students have 3 minutes to present a compelling oration on their thesis and its significance. The 3 Minute Thesis challenges students to consolidate their ideas and research so that it can be presented concisely to a non-specialist audience, and that's the key with it. Developed by the University of Queensland back in 2008, the enthusiasm for the 3MT concept has grown rapidly, and the 3MT competitions are now held in over 600 universities and in institutions across 65 countries worldwide, as you can see on the map in front of you. Now, this year, in July and August, QUT held its faculty 3MT finals, where each of the QUT's 5 faculties announced a faculty winner. So it's pretty much like a semi-final to the event we're having today. However, because of the high standard and the quality, we were so impressed that we undertook a wildcard judging, where we selected a further 3 finalists from the faculty competitions to form the 8 QUT finalists we will be seeing presentations from today. These finalists then undertook group and individual coaching with our grad team, Susan Schlenker, and industry engagement officer, Jeremy Farr-Wharton, from the Office of Industry Engagement. And then the students had their presentations professionally filmed, and we can't wait to see them. I certainly can't. Okay, now as it is a contest, there are rules. We are all bound by rules, and here they are for the 3MT. Each participant is allowed just a single static PowerPoint slide. So as you may be aware, researchers love, if they've got 10 minutes to talk, they love to put 20 slides up. Not in this case. They've got 1 slide and it can't be dynamic. There can be no additional props, electronic or otherwise, and each student is limited to strictly 3 minutes. And that's a tough ask. That's a very, very tough ask. And that time limit is strictly enforced. So if you went to the faculty finalists, you would have seen the shepherd crook come out if a student went a bit beyond the 3 minutes. But we won't need to do that here because all our presentations are recorded. And finally, the presentations all have to be in spoken word. So we can't have a dance or a song. It all has to be spoken word. Okay, now with the contest, you also need to have some criteria so that you can determine who is the winner. I mean, you can't just, randomly select one. And here are the 2 important criteria that we have for the 3MT judging. Entries are judged on comprehension and content, as well as engagement and communication. Okay, so these are the things that the judges were looking at when they were trying to determine who had won this year's contest. So some of the other criteria that the judges will be looking for will be that the presentations have a clear and logical sequence, avoids all technical jargon, which is a trap that most of us researchers fall into, and that captures the audience attention by conveying enthusiasm for their research. Now, as it is a contest, there has to be a prize. You know, happily, this year we're able to give $1,000 to the winner of the contest. There is also a runners-up prize, which is worth $500. And then there will be the People's Choice Award worth $250, which we will decide, which we will determine through the vote of the audience members here today. Now, following on from QUT's event, there will be a higher level event, the 3MT Asia Pacific, where the winner gets a little bit more than what we're offering here today. So this is a sort of like a hierarchical process where once you win one event, you can then escalate up the page and move to the next level event up. Okay, so as we have a large number of audience members out there, if you want to leave a comment or interact with us, then there are a number of ways that you can do so. So please drop comments, questions into the chat, and we will endeavour to answer those for you. As well as that, when it comes time to voting for the People's Choice Award for the 3MT contest, you will need to indicate the person's name. Okay, so if you thought the presentation was excellent, you want to vote for that one, please remember the name of the presenter. So I won't be announcing the names prior, they will come up just prior to each presentation. So just jot that down if you felt that presentation was absolutely brilliant, because then you can vote for it once we open up the polling. So there are the images of our presenters, and with no further ado, we'll take it away.
The COVID pandemic has affected the health and well-being of people around the world. And it has also highlighted the role that organisations can play in supporting the well-being of employees. For example, wellness programs are now becoming a commonplace practice in many countries, including Australia and the US. And in the US, the average budget for well-being programs per organisation increased by 40% from 2019 to 2020, to a total of $4.9 million US. The content and interventions delivered through wellness programs are varied, and they include things such as physical health, nutrition, alcohol and smoking cessation, sleep and fatigue, mental health and well-being, as well as financial well-being. Have you attended one of these offerings in your organisation? Well, even if you haven't attended, you might still have thoughts about the wellness program provided, including about the reasons why your employer is providing you with these initiatives. Have you considered your organisation's motivations for supporting your health and well-being? On face value, wellness programs can appear as a supporting act from the employer. However, there are now a growing number of critical commentaries in the popular press that question the intent behind wellness programs. And some of them point out that wellness programs can represent superficial, low-cost, and even quick-fix solutions to more complex and deeply rooted organisational problems. For example, in 2020, Australian researchers have shown that often employees are too overworked and simply do not have time to attend wellness activities. These critiques of wellness programs highlights that, regardless of the true intentions and positive associations, such offerings can be perceived both positively and negatively by employees. How do you feel about your organisation's wellness program? In spite of the fact that wellness programs are widespread HR practice, with millions of dollars being spent on these initiatives, more clarity is still needed in relation to how this type of HR practice influences the health and well-being of employees. In particular, it appears there may be more to the equation than purely the types of initiatives offered through wellness programs. Importantly, the views that you and other employees form about your organisation's motivations for providing a wellness program could provide the much-needed insight into how wellness programs influences health and well-being. My research will uncover whether wellness programs result in better health and well-being, regardless of whether employees actually attend the wellness program, when employees see their organisation's motivations favourably. And in doing so, my research may show that organisations should not only consider what and how they provide wellness programs, but pay equal attention to why they offer these programs. That is, when it comes to providing wellness programs, it might just be the thought that counts.
I want you to think about the difference between these two pictures. The first picture shows one of the most famous natural places in the world. It's both a national and global icon. In fact, I'm going to guess that you already have a good idea of where it might be. The second picture, well, it's of the exact same place, but it tells a much sadder story. The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest coral reef system and is perhaps one of the most important and well-known ecosystems on our planet. It actually helps drive the systems that sustain life as we know it. So whether you realize it or not, hundreds and thousands of lives, including yours and mine, depend on healthy coral reefs like the Great Barrier Reef. But there are no two ways about it. The Great Barrier Reef is suffering. Warmer ocean temperatures driven by climate change are causing coral bleaching events, which, when frequent and severe, cause coral death. Now, there is good news. Most people recognize and are concerned about what is happening on the Great Barrier Reef. In fact, surveys show that most people actually want to help protect it. It gets better. We know exactly what we need to do. By taking actions that reduce our personal carbon footprints and actions that actively support renewable energy, people like you and I, we can help save the Great Barrier Reef. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, here's the catch. It turns out that just like coral reefs, human behavior is incredibly complex. So although we know about what's happening to the reef, we care about its future, and we know what actions need to be taken, many of us are still not taking them. My research mixes social science and human psychology to figure out how we get people from knowing and caring about the reef to actually taking action. In psychology terms, I'm looking at how to close what we call the attitude-action gap. Now, we can do this in many different ways. For example, through experimental surveys, I found that we can motivate action for the reef by just changing the way we talk about it. By carefully considering the way we communicate about the reef and climate change, such as the words or the tone we use, we can significantly influence whether people take action or not. Beyond effective communication, I'm also looking at whether different reef experiences can motivate action, from being physically there on the reef through to virtual reality. In the end, by figuring out these different pathways to action, my research will help create evidence-based public engagement strategies that empower individuals to take action and protect places like the Great Barrier Reef. Because if there is one thing that is undeniably true, it's that together we can all be the difference between a dying reef and a thriving one.
Autism, 6 letters, authentic, unique, totally intelligent, sometimes mysterious. There is a lot to understand about children on the autism spectrum, and there are no better experts but themselves. This is exactly what I'm sharing today. A study that aims to understand how do young children on the autism spectrum use digital technologies in their everyday lives. We know we are living in a digital world, and due to the pandemic, we are spending more time at home than ever. But how is this fact influencing children on the autism spectrum daily living? What kind of digital technologies are they using? And for what? 3 children on the autism spectrum at the age of 6 living in Brisbane are helping us to understand. Would you like to know how? I lend them video cameras, and with their family help, they are video recording their natural digital interactions in their homes, wherever they want and whenever they want. We are also having online meetings to check how they are going, providing any help they need. Can you imagine what I already observed? The young participants are super adept to digital interactions. During the meetings, they make me feel that there is no camera between us. They adjust the camera and know how to position what they want to show. They look comfortable. Analyzing the video recordings, I saw a variety of digital technologies being used for lots of different purposes. I saw children playing with their siblings with iPads, families watching video clips and dancing together, others doing their homework through an app. The participants are also using digital technologies to practice social conversations that are contributing to help their social skills. They love copying drawings from YouTube videos, which is an amazing way to develop fine motor skills. It is so promising that I can't wait to see what is yet to come. Are you ready for the most exciting part? What can we do with this information? With no other studies in this area, this study is pioneer in the field. While staying apart protects us, digital technologies allow us to be connected. And giving these children the voice that they already don't have and they are pleading for can contribute to find strategies to support children's routines, therapies, learning, well-being, and the most important one, happiness. Thank you.
As a millennial and engineer, I love technology, and my addiction to technology means that I cannot live without electricity. So for me, one really exciting area of development is to generate green energy through a concentrated solar power plant. In this, we use the sun's light and direct it onto a single point using mirrors to create intense heat. This heat is then captured and stored in molten salts to generate electricity instead of burning coal. The problem with this is that salts cause corrosion in metals, and when metals are exposed to corrosion, additional damage occurs affecting the way and rate in which materials fail. And while there are design guidelines and studies available to determine these failure rates, they do not account for the combined influence of stress and corrosion in solar power plants, leading to costly and catastrophic early failures, such as the image here. So how and when these failures occur is really the critical question, and this is the focus of my research. So how do we do this? As you can imagine, simulating the events that goes on in a very large power plant is complex, which is why my research looks to understand one part of the problem experimentally, a phenomenon known as corrosion fatigue. Now, fatigue is damage accumulated through repeated stress cycles, similar to when you bend a paper clip back and forth until it breaks. The exact same thing happens in our plants as the temperatures and stresses go up and down during the day as the sun goes up and down. Corrosion from the molten salts reduces fatigue life by attacking the metals, introducing surface roughness and weakening the materials itself. To simulate corrosion fatigue in solar power plants, in the lab I use extreme temperatures and cyclic stresses to break samples that are filled with molten salts. From these experiments, I can 1. Measure the corrosion fatigue life of materials in solar power plants, and secondly, observe the effects of corrosion fatigue at a microstructural level. Using this information in different damage models, analysis, and design guidelines, we can better predict the life and manage the risks of our solar power plants. And beyond finding out the breaking point of these plants, one day, my research will help bring sustainable and low-cost energy to continue powering our technologies. Because our current energy resources, they're finite, and we need to expand and better understand our energy alternatives for the future.
Can you remember the last time you felt incredibly unwell and wanted to book in to see a doctor? Well, you'll also probably recall how frustrating it can be to book an appointment. If you're looking to see a GP, you could be waiting up to 3 weeks. If you're looking to see a specialist, this can be 3 months to a year. Look at Jimmy at the end of the conveyor belt. We've all been or know someone who's felt like Jimmy at some point in time. Now think, you're over there patiently waiting for your appointment, but a person in front doesn't show up for theirs and doesn't cancel in advance. This is a no-show, otherwise known as a missed appointment or non-attendance. This event not only affects other people in the queue, including yourself, who could have been treated instead, it has an array of other implications. For one, it wastes healthcare resources. In the United States, it's estimated that no-shows cost $150 billion per year. That is equivalent to more than enough coffee to keep me caffeinated for the rest of my PhD journey, if not for the rest of my life. But on a serious note, those wasted resources could have been allocated to the provision of other healthcare services. Aside from monetary costs, non-attendance also contributes to other things. It can increase the length of waiting lists, it wastes staff time, and it may be detrimental to a patient's health through patients failing to be able to receive timely healthcare. All in all, non-attendance is a money problem, it's a staff and resourcing problem, and it's a patient experience problem. Confronting non-attendance and finding ways to reduce it is complex and challenging, but it is attainable. Would you like to know how? Through the increasing digitization of healthcare information systems, which are affording us with new opportunities. Imagine if you could use an online platform that would allow you to schedule appointments at times convenient to you, would remind you when your appointment is fast approaching, and could even provide you with the option to choose a telehealth appointment instead of one in person. Exploring these digital opportunities is incredibly exciting and brings me to my research and how it will help chip away at the no-show problem. To start, we know that there's a lack of evidence that provides us answers to the following questions. The first, remember that $150 billion no-show cost in the US? Well, we don't actually know the extent of the problem and how much it's costing us in Australia, including here in Queensland. And the second, there are several digital solutions that exist and are emerging, but we need to map out what works and what doesn't. Answering these questions will provide insight into how intelligent digital solutions can help us make better use of our scarce healthcare resources, and it can help us in understanding how we can improve efficiency across that conveyor belt. In doing so, my research will improve the experience of doctors and the experience of patients, like yourself or anyone else who feels like Jimmy. After all, a missed appointment does not need to be a missed opportunity.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. Of course, every selfie on social media tells us a story. We see millions of consumers taking and sharing their selfies with branded products. This we call brand selfies. Simply, a selfie is a self-portrait photograph, but a brand selfie is a self-portrait photograph that displays a company's brand. Here we can see two brand selfies with Coca-Cola. Not every selfie tells the same story. Some brand selfies are more believable and authentic than others. We refer to this as credibility. Imagine when Coca-Cola launches a brand selfie campaign. As you can see on the screen, consumers submit their selfies to the company. Are you more likely to purchase a Coke because of the first picture or the second one? This is what marketers and social scientists currently question. So, my research focuses on what makes brand selfie credible from viewers' perspective. I interviewed marketing managers and I surveyed 1,000 consumers. They all talked to me about what they thought was credible after viewing over 100 brand selfie pictures. Based on my findings, here are 2 pictures among 100 brand selfies that I showed, and participants rate the first brand selfie is much more credible than the second one. Why? This is because Coca-Cola matches the context shown in the first selfie, and the people in the first selfie look like everyday people like you and me that are consuming the drink. And so, this selfie looks more authentic. In the second selfie, it looks like a stage photo and it doesn't look genuine to the participants. So, from my findings, I would recommend Coca-Cola to utilize high credible brand selfies of consumers to advertise their brands. My recommendation will lead to an increase in consumer awareness and increase in brand loyalty. Ultimately, my research will reshape how brands approach their marketing strategies that will translate into reduced cost and improve how brands engage their consumers. These outcomes will increasingly influence on how other companies can provide more authentic connections with their consumers. So, next time you take a brand selfie, think, will it look credible on social media?
Thank you. Can you imagine never ever having to waste time in traffic again? Driving gives us a lot of freedom, but driving also relies heavily on our ability to sense and act quickly. Humans make mistakes every day, and especially so while driving. Tragically, more than 1,000 people die on our roads in Australia every year, and more than 1 million worldwide. Safer autonomous cars can solve these issues, leading to fewer accidents, less traffic, and more time for you to focus on interesting things. But to work, autonomous cars will need many key capabilities, including the ability to recognize places that they have seen before, a process called place recognition. We can recognize places we have been to remarkably well, mainly using our eyes. We use place recognition to navigate wherever we go every single day. It could be something as trivial as finding your car in a parking lot or driving your little kids to school. What's particularly incredible about humans and animals is that we can recognize places even when places change. We can recognize a place at all times of the day and across different seasons. Don't you remember your favorite holiday destinations at a different season? One way to allow robots to develop the ability to recognize places is to take a step back and ask ourselves, how can we learn from how evolution solved the navigation task? Can we investigate how we use our eyes to see and recognize a place? My research addresses this challenge by building mathematical models of our brain. These models are based on the underlying mechanisms that enables the neurons in our brain to do place recognition. For example, your brain receives information from your eyes and captures that information to learn new things and store them in your memory. Learning and memory formation is done by the densely interconnected neurons in your brain. I'm modeling the neurons in our brain in software to create artificial neural networks. These networks can represent and recognize places just like our brains do. By using detailed models of the neurons in our brain to recognize places, we aim to move closer to both safer autonomous cars and a deeper understanding of our brain that ultimately saves lives and helps you become better navigators.
So, were you expecting me to start? Most people would have expected me to start based on my body language and what I said. Intention cues are a fundamental part of human communication. For example, to succeed in team sports, we need to know when our teammates are going to pass the ball or make a run. It is also true when one person's actions affects the safety of others. Like when we drive, it helps to know if a pedestrian intends to cross the road or if a driver intends to turn. That's why some eons ago a smart person invented the indicators. Hi, I'm Mo. I'm a designer working on self-driving cars and road safety. My research focuses on how self-driving cars communicate their intended actions to you inside the car. Let's say you're in a car driven by your son or daughter. Now, you would not look at the way they're driving, but also you would observe them to see if they're aware of their surroundings. Are they going to slow down? Are they intending to give way? Now imagine you're in a car driven by an invisible driver. You would have no way of knowing what they're going to do next, right? People have tried verbal interfaces, graphical interfaces, and also showing what the car sees on the console screen. But imagine sitting in a car that constantly yaps on about what it intends to do next. Or a console screen or windshield cluttered with all sorts of information. Doesn't sound very appealing, does it? My research goes back to the fundamentals. It tries to understand how passengers interpret a driver's intentions. And to do that, we installed cameras everywhere in the car to record everything. Then we asked the passenger to note down all the times when they recognized the driver's intentions. Then, finally, in an interview, we played back those videos and asked them about it. We discovered many cool things. One passenger said when the driver had their hands on the 11 o'clock position on the steering wheel, this surely meant they're going to turn right. But what made it more interesting was that if the turn was far away, it confused the passenger. Additionally, if there were no head checks to look for oncoming traffic, it made the passenger feel unsafe. For the passenger to be satisfied, all these cues had to be present before a turn. Now, self-driving cars are emerging, but the feeling of safety and comfort for us to let them drive still has a ways to go. My research paves the way to visualize that invisible driver through understanding how human drivers communicate their intentions.
Wow, what an amazing set of presentations. And they clearly all achieved goal number one. I'm just a simple physicist, yet I could understand what all of those presentations were about and the significance of the research that was being undertaken there. And also working at a comprehensive university like QUT, it's such a great thing to see such great research being presented across such a broad diversity of different areas and topics. So well done to you all. That was just truly amazing. Okay, now what we're going to do now is open the People's Choice Award poll. And this is an important vote because the winner of this poll will take away $250 in prize money. So every vote counts. So please take the time to select your winner. You would all now have seen the poll appear on your screen. So please indicate who you think gave the best pitch. And then in a short while, we'll close the poll and move on to the next segment of our showcase. So I can see the votes are rapidly tallying. It's a bit like sitting in the Canberra election room on election night because numbers are going crazy and there's people jumping around and changing things. This is impressive to see. So I think we've got a large number of votes already being cast, so we shouldn't have to wait too much longer. I'm just being told there's been a late development in the seat of Aspley. So we're going to cross to Anthony Green and he will take us through what's going on in Aspley. Just a joke. Almost there now. The votes are tallying. I've got a live read on them now and we can see the numbers stacking up in the bar graph. So we've got 80% now being cast, so it should not be too much longer. Like I said, it is a bit like election night. This is truly amazing. And the number we're up to now is 84%. Can we get a full 100%? This will be very interesting to see. Not far to go, not far to go. And I can tell you it is very close. So if you have not voted, I think your vote could make a difference. So please, we're up to 88. And again, the bar graph I'm seeing is very tight. So please take the time to cast the vote for the presentation you thought was the best. Okay, I've just got the word that we're about to close the poll. We're sitting over 90% of votes and it is done. So thank you very much for everyone who's taken the time to vote. We will not be announcing the winner right now. We'll be having one presentation session for 3MT and VYT at the end of the showcase. So please hang around for that and we'll announce the winners. But thank you for everyone who's taken the time to complete the People's Choice poll. Okay, so moving on. Now it's time. 1 second, I've just got to be prepared. So now what we thought we'd do is invite all of our 3MT finalists to a panel discussion. and so that they can share the experience of the 3MT journey that they've just undertaken. So I invite all our 3MT finalists now to unmute and open your video link, and we will start that session. And I'll just wait for everyone to come online. Are we there yet? Okay, we're all up. So welcome everybody, and thank you for such outstanding work in the 3MT presentations that you have all put together. Truly, truly remarkable. It's something that I couldn't do. I've been around in research for a long time, but there's no way I could do that. So well done to you all. My hat is off to you. Has everyone got their microphone? Sorry. Can you please unmute? Thank you, Yolanda. Mo, thank you. I think we're all unmuted now. Okay, so let's open up the discussion. So I'll open up to the floor, to the finalists, so anyone can take a turn to answer the question. Why was it that you joined the 3MT competition? What were your expectations? So fire away, anybody.
I can go. I've always wanted to do it. I went and saw it in my undergrad. I thought it looked really, I just was blown away by everyone's presentation. Always loved public speaking, and I saw it was open this year, and I thought, well, I'm already locked down, might as well do something good with my time, and yeah.
Awesome.
I'm probably a bit different to that. I don't enjoy public speaking, so I thought it was a challenge for myself. So I actually signed up last minute thinking I'll just give it a go and see how I go with it. So yeah, that was why I signed up, to get some more practice and give it a go.
Excellent. Yeah, different ends of the spectrum there.
I actually I joined this 3MT competition to
public speaking.
Could you hear me?
So, yeah, sorry, just one at a time. Thanks, Lucy. If you could go give your response.
Sorry about that, Lucy. Yes, I was hoping to push myself outside of my comfort zone and develop communication skills, but also public speaking.
You're just breaking up a little bit there. So perhaps we pause until we sort out your audio problems there. Lucy, do you want to respond as you were just about to start before?
Yeah, so I would like to strengthen my profile within the research community here at QUT as well as around the world. And also I would like to establish good connections with academics and HTR students. So that's the main purpose why I joined this 3MT competition this year.
Awesome, thank you for that. Okay, so just taking that a little bit further, to everyone again, what skills did the competition help you develop in preparing this type of pitch?
I would say for me, it was public speaking for an online set of audience, trying to keep my presentation as engaging as possible, given that we, due to the pandemic this year, we can't do an in-person event. So yeah, it was a lot of challenge, but I had to practice my presentation in recorded Zoom sessions just to see how I present and try to improve on that.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, so through this process, probably the skill that I learned most is to storytell better. So storytelling and communicating. Our research is such an important part of what we do as researchers, because part of understanding what we do thoroughly is through being able to explain it simply, to engage our peers, colleagues, and even industry as well.
Well, you certainly achieved that.
Yeah, for me, it was really taking a step back from my research and trying to understand it from an outsider's perspective, and to basically explain it in a way that most people can understand. And that was a very valuable experience I went through, and really glad to have done.
Yeah, excellent. Well, and I think those skills will suit you well and serve you well in the future to all of our finalists. Just moving on to our next question. What's been the highlight of the contest for you so far?
I think one of the highlights is definitely to be able to receive the group coaching and one-on-one sessions, and hear from other participants as well about their research. which is really insightful and a great opportunity to get feedback and also give feedback along the way.
Yeah, I would agree. The group feedback session was so helpful. I know I went in there going, the Great Barrier Reef is awesome. Everyone loves it. And I think someone asked me like, oh, but why is it important? And I was like, what? What sort of question is that? But it made me really have to think about, okay, maybe just because it's so obvious to me, it doesn't mean everyone else gets it. And that session was really helpful. And just hearing everyone else's presentations and the feedback everyone gave each other, it was just a really nice thing to do and helpful.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I asked several questions by myself as well as during the coaching session, they asked several questions. So that put real help for me to improve my research problem to be communicatable with the general audience.
Excellent. Okay, well, moving to our last question then. Do any of you have advice for our future 3MT entrants for next year and beyond?
Definitely. So I think that they have to practice several times, especially in front of the camera and friends, that make more confidence to do a presentation. They have to strict with the transcript, then only they can strict with the time limit. And also they don't insert more information on the slides, and they have to keep it as simple as possible. So they have to get advice from others to enhance the transcript. And finally, they have to be smart and confident while presenting in front of the audience. So yeah, that's my advice.
There was a common theme there and about confidence, and you all exuded it when you gave your presentation, so impressive. And I think unless there's one last comment, we're going to have to move on to our next session. No?
I would just add, give it a go. It may sound challenging at the beginning, but we get lots of support during this journey, and it'll help us to acquire important skills that will be really useful during our journey as researchers. So give it a go and try.
Excellent advice.
And it's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you all and congratulations again, and good luck for the announcement of the winners, which will come up shortly. If you could all now please turn off your video and mute, we'll move on to the next segment of the showcase. Thank you. Okay, so now's time to turn our attention to Visualise Your Thesis competition, which is along the similar theme. Again, it's about trying to communicate your research to a generalist audience. But this time, rather than using oration, the idea is to use visuals. And that's what this is about. This competition was created by the University of Melbourne in 2015 and challenges graduate researchers at any stage of their candidature to present their projects in a 60-second, in 1 minute, eye-catching audio-visual digital display. Using a pre-supplied template, entrants are tasked with developing a striking poster presentation that succinctly describes the research and its potential benefits to the non-specialist, which again is the key with this communication skills that we're talking about. The competition provides graduate researchers with an opportunity to build and apply their digital literacy skills, ensuring they are workplace ready, and provides institutions with an opportunity to showcase graduate research like we're doing today. By creating a visual elevator pitch, students develop crucial employability skills, including effective communication, digital literacy, visual storytelling, and they also build their awareness of open access to information and copyright. So there's a lot of things that that you can gain out of such a competition. Now, one thing I will say about the VYT, last year we ran the same competition, and the winner of the overall event in the Asia Pacific came from QUT. So we have pedigree in this competition, so I'll be fascinated to see how we go again this year. Okay, like 3MT, Visualise Your Thesis also had faculty competitions to determine the faculty winners in July and August. Again, what we found was the quality was so high that we had to also go through that wildcard judging process to find an additional 2 presentations that were also worthy of being in the QUT final that we're having today. And after the faculty competitions, the finalists went through a series of feedback sessions with GRED's learning designer, Dr. Murray Lane, and I can't wait to see the final presentations today. Oh, we moved ahead with the slides there a bit. Okay, so there was judging criteria, and as with every contest, and in this case for VYT, the criteria were based on content and impact. So what was the impact of the visual and what content was used? Okay, students use a pre-supplied template, as I said before, and any content must be copyright compliant. Okay, so you can't go onto the web and select whatever imagery you like. It had to be copyright compliant. And again, the time limit is strictly adhered to, which is 1 minute in this case. So the judges are looking for something here that is creative, striking, memorable, as well as providing a solid understanding of the research question being addressed and its potential impact when solved. Okay, as it is a contest, again, there is prizes on offer here. So the winner of the VYT contest this year at QUT receives $750. The runner-up will receive $250. And again, we will be having a People's Choice poll, as we did for the 3MT after the presentations. And the winner of that poll will receive $150. Now, again, there is another level to this. Once we determine the winners across the universities, they then go on to the international competition. And there, the winner will take home $5,000. And again, there are second and third prizes on offer there as well. So it's a tidy sum to be fighting for. So it's well worth the effort for the financial perspective as well. Okay, so with no further ado, you can see an image there of our 7 VYT finalists for 2021. So with no further ado, we'll take it away and look at those presentations. Wow, outstanding. I don't know how they did it, how you all did that, achieve putting that amount of information in 1 minute in such an entertaining way. And I've got to say, those jingles are going to live with me forever. In fact, we had some dancing in the control centre here through some of that, so it was truly, truly impressive. So well done all. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to open the People's Choice Award poll as we did before for 3MT. So we'll have a minute or two for everyone to select what they thought was the best VYT presentation, and then we'll close the poll. So just a few minutes and the numbers are already racking up. I'm fortunate enough to see a bar graph that indicates the numbers of votes, and it's rapidly filling. So please have a think, sit back and consider which presentation most resonated with you in terms of providing the information and also doing it in an engaging way. So the numbers are still coming in. We're up to 52%, so that's very impressive, very rapid response by most of the audience. We'll just allow a little bit longer just to see if there's anybody else who would like to cast a vote. And again, as we saw before, the votes are incredibly tight. Okay, so your vote will make a difference or could make a difference when you cast it. So please, if you have not already voted, then select one of the options you have and we'll see who comes out on top. We're currently up around 70% and we'll have a minute or so longer before we wrap up the poll. And like I said, the voting does look extremely tight, which is not surprising given the quality of all the presentations that we just watched. So it's not going to be an easy matter. Happily for us, statistics will resolve the People's Choice Award winner, but that is not the same for the other winners in this contest. So the judges must have had an incredibly difficult time in trying to work out who was going to win that. Okay, so 80%, and we're just about to wrap up the poll, and the poll is now going to be stopped, and it has happened. So thank you all for taking the time to vote for your favourite presentation out of this year's 2021 VYT presentations. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of the showcase, which again will be exploring the VYT finalists' experience as they went down this journey to preparing their presentations. So to the VYT finalists, if you could all put on your camera, unmute yourselves, we'll just have a quick question and answer session just to see what you thought of the event. So I'll get the thumbs up from the team here once everybody's ready to go. Are we all up and running? Yes. Okay. So thank you all and congratulations again on such an outstanding set of presentations. That's truly remarkable. And like I said, the music choice was fantastic. Okay. So welcome all. And now what we'll do is start off by looking and considering what your perceptions were. So why did you join the VYT contest? What were you hoping to get out of it? So I'll open the floor to our finalists.
Just seemed like a really good opportunity to try and show my creative side in regards to my research and see if I could really well demonstrate it across a wide audience.
Well, I think you achieved that very well. So good job there. Anybody else?
For me, like most of the time, we always think that like we need to present our research in a written format or in a verbal format. So when I see that, like, yeah, this is the way I can present my research as a like movie telling or storytelling format. So that's why I just want to participate in this competition, like to present my research. And this is a challenging job for me. Like I need to make a story for that and then present within 1 minute. So yeah.
Okay. So I guess you've already answered that, the two respondents so far, and that is, what type of skills did the competition help you develop? Is there anybody else out there who has a view on that?
I think the collaboration with others with the technical skills required to deliver such presentations, I think that was key to one of this, to take complex information and then package that in a simple way for the lay audience, and working with those with the expertise to do that.
Yeah, I guess that gives you real insight into that area. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, this competition helped me to develop the pitching skills.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next question. What do you have any advice for future VYT entrants for next year and beyond?
Don't be afraid to reach out to your friends or anyone you know with cameras or skills. You can always use their help.
Yeah. Anybody else with a last comment before we move on to the next component?
For me, like at the beginning, it looks like very challenging, but when someone dig down in it, so it's slowly they can realize that it's not that challenging. So yeah, so anyone can participate. Sometimes people think that like I need to make some video or something like that. It's very challenging. I have some no skill of video editing or something like that. But in QUT, they have like great mentors, so they can help us to give some feedback and some good comments. So yeah, it's easy. So anyone can participate.
So just give it a go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're going to have to wrap this session up. We're running a little bit behind time. So thank you all for taking the time, not only to prepare your presentations, but to take part in this discussion panel. Okay, so what I understand now is that the votes have been tallied and we now have our winners. So congratulations for all of you for being part of this. But now I'd like to invite Dr. Nancy Spencer to announce the 2021 winners of the 3MT and VYT contests here at QUT. So Nancy, if you don't mind unmuting and putting your video on, I'll leave it to you.
Hi everyone. Having a short spiel is so important in today's world. And the panel were just so impressed in all of the videos and animations. We independently reviewed them, and then we came together to discuss and agree to select the winners and the runners-up. I'm so impressed by all the entrants and delighted to announce the awards. So for the 3-minute thesis, the People's Choice Award is to Shay Mohammed Salim. So well done, Shay. The runner-up is Yolanda Waters. And the winner is Mo Mohammed Farazam. For the Visualising Your Thesis Award, the People's Choice Award was Jasmine, and the runner-up was Canon Jagannathan, and the winner was Asa Arafat. So congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Nancy, and congratulations to you all. It must have been a tough decision for the judges to come up with the winners and the runners-up in both those two contests. So well done all. So now I invite the winners of both contests to please unmute your mic and turn on your camera so that we can share this moment with you. So congratulations. So are we all up? Are all winners up at this point? No, I've got 2, 3. Almost there. We've almost got all our winners of the 2 contests. Okay, so we'll start anyway. But congratulations to you all. Fantastic effort, not only to reach the final, but to actually come up as a prize winner. So well done all. So does anyone want to start by telling me how they feel at this moment?
So excited, like I can't believe that. So yeah, just speechless at this moment. So thanks everyone. Thanks, congratulations all the winners. Yeah, best of luck.
Anyone else want to throw something out there?
I am just lost for words. I'm very excited, of course, but you know, in this whole competition, I've learned so much from the other panelists that, you know, it's like just winning is kind of like, I feel like it's well deserved for everybody in the panel to be happy because we learned so much from each other. That was just fantastic, and I'm just stoked that, you know, there's so many good presentations there.
Yeah, I think the quality just continues to grow year after year. So it was so impressive to see what I saw today. So anyone else would like to make a comment?
Thank you to everyone who voted. I can't believe it.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, just thank you, everyone. And what Mo said, it feels like a team effort after all that feedback and all those sessions we did and the recording. Like, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's just us winning. It's everyone, really. So yeah, thank you. And thank you to Susan and Jeremy as well. They were so helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Any last comment? Because if not, we're going to have to move on. Yes.
Yes, I would like to thank all my supervisors and my sister and all the other ones who helped me and give their comments. And thank you all.
Okay, well, congratulations again to you all. Fantastic, fantastic presentations across the board, including the unfortunate people who didn't quite get there to the prize this time around. Just brilliant. So thank you. If we can now move on to the next section, if you don't mind just blocking your video and muting, and we're basically up to the wrap-up component of our showcase. And really, again, congratulations to all the finalists, but especially the winners. I'd really like to thank the judging panel. We were fortunate enough to get such distinguished people to take part, and I think their input really helped us with difficult decisions. So thank you all. I'd also like to thank all the finalists today, because this has been a 1.5-hour event, but there's a lot of things that go on in the background, and they've kindly given their time to go through practice sessions and make sure things work well on the day. So thank you all. Speaking of the event itself, like I said, 1.5 hours today, but there's been days and days and days in the making to make this happen. So I'd like to thank a whole bunch of people. Firstly, the AV department at QUT here to helping us put this together in a professional way. I'd like to thank the GRED team who managed this event. Murray Lane, Julia Green, and Catherine Young in particular for putting a lot of energy and effort to making this work. And in particular, I'd like to acknowledge the organizer of the event, Susan Schlinker, who has been at this from day one, has put her heart and soul into it to make it such a fantastic event. Also, thank you to Jeremy Farr-Wharton for helping, along with Murray Lane, with the coaching that the finalists have spoken to today. So thank you to all those people for making this event successful. Thank you to all the audience members, the industry partners, staff, and guests who have arrived here to see this showcase, and hopefully you were blown away, as I was, about the quality of the presentations that we saw today. On a last note, we were talking today about developing these skills to be able to give a pitch, to communicate our research effectively across the board to a whole range of people. And really, this isn't something we're born with, as I said earlier. This is something that can be developed. You can learn these skills, you can learn new tricks, and you can learn new ways to deliver information to a broad audience. And that's where we come in. That's where the GRED team, we provide that support, we provide some offerings that can help you and assist you to be able to go out there, not only to pitch your research, but also to engage with industry, to seek opportunities inside and outside of academia, to get you to a destination that you want to be at in terms of your future careers. So if you do want to seek us out, please contact us. The contact details are there, and we'd be happy to hear from you and try and help you with the skill development that you need. So once again, on a final note, I'd like to thank our industry partners for their attendance. If any of you would like to contact us with regard to seeing if you can access some of the talent you've seen today, some of the great research and the great researchers we have in the graduate space, there's a whole range of industry engagement opportunities like internships that we'd be happy to talk to you about. So on that note, I once again want to congratulate all our finalists, and a special congratulations to our winners. And thank you everyone for attending and supporting our talented graduate researchers. See you next year.